Hey everybody, welcome back to the Entrepreneur's Essentials. I'm wearing a very special t-shirt today. I've got Dated Out World on my mind. And this is our Data is Totally Rad t-shirt that we produced for the company when we all went to go see the movie Ready Player One, written by Ernie Klein here in Austin, Texas. And it was really a dream come true for Ernie as he got Steven Spielberg to make the movie for him or alongside him. And Tim League, the founder of the Alamo Drafthouse, was also very involved, which I think is the best movie theater in the world. And we've had our big quarterly celebrations at Dated Out World there, at least before the pandemic. So this one is all about culture and values. And let me jump right into chapter 18, an unusual but beautiful method of forming your company's values. I've got the Conscious Capitalism Summit on my mind as I write this, specifically the main summit, which was in Dallas that year, which my daughter Rachel and I are leaving for tonight. Rachel is one of the keynotes, and I couldn't be more proud of her. She will be speaking about the process of writing her first book, Guardians of the Forest, and I link to that here on Medium, which has been her dream since she was 8 years old and just happened this past January after a year of work and years for saving up to pay for it. She paid 100% of her savings to her illustrator, Ryan Durney, and I link to Ryan's profile here on Medium. My good friend John Mackey, the co-founder and CEO of Whole Foods, will be introducing her on stage. He has been a mentor to me for years, and most recently her for her book. There are many good lessons for living a fulfilled life in her book, and she is certainly an emerging conscious capitalist. You can see all of the speakers here, and I link to this on Medium. And in the spirit of the post I wrote at the beginning of this year on continuous learning, I highly recommend you attend this summit in the future, or the CEO Summit if you qualify. And of course, by post here in the book, I'm referring to the chapter on an always be learning life. But I've got the Conscious Capitalism Summit on my mind for another reason, and it is because of what it has taught me as an entrepreneur and CEO. Last year at the CEO Summit version of their events, I heard a CEO say on stage, if you want to learn something amazing, just ask each of your employees to share with you the core values that they bring to work each and every day. This immediately resonated with me as I'd been thinking about how beautiful our culture was becoming at Dated Out World, but yet we hadn't written down our core values yet. This isn't that unusual, by the way. We didn't write down our core values at my previous VC-backed startups, Core Metrics and Bizarre Voice, until we are around this age. You want to get some operating history and some significant team build out going before you do this exercise, or it is just aspirational with no real resonance for how you've actually been living your day-to-day business life as a collective. So I decided to test this method as a way to form our core values. After the summit, I asked each of our employees to privately direct message me on Slack with one or two of the values that they bring into work each day. This is exactly what I sent. Team, in preparation for our lunch and learn on Wednesday to discuss our operating principles, please take 1 minute to send me the one or two values that you personally bring into our team, such as integrity, passion, caring, precision, etc. Whatever you think your most important one or two values are. Please DM them to me by end of day tomorrow, and I'll share the results at the Lunch and Learn. The reason I said DM is that we run a large part of our company on Slack. You may be wondering about the operating principles reference, so let me digress on that for a brief moment. Even though we hadn't worked together to write down our core values, we had worked together as a leadership team to form our operating principles, and we reviewed them every quarter. This was in the spirit of the Netflix culture deck that I had originally learned about during the Bizarre Voice days, and I've spoken to Reed Hastings about it at TED. If you haven't heard about the Netflix deck, you're really missing out, and I think this is the latest version, and I link to it here on Medium. Okay, back to the core values exercise. The responses I received back were beautiful. They all resonated with me so deeply, with the exception of one person's response of terseness. But he is an incredible team member with a great sense of humor, including creating a machine learning bot that roams our Slack and literally mimics my co-founder and chief product officer, John Loynes, who has a larger-than-life personality. I immediately started to compile these responses into a document, and I'll share a version of it with you now. The only thing I changed in this version, which I link to here on Medium, is our employees' names, so I'm protecting their confidentiality since I didn't ask them for their permission. In the spreadsheet, you'll see that I compiled exact word matches and also looked at related words to come up with our proposed core values. When I presented these results at our Lunch and Learn, the feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and I suggested that we adopt these as our core values because without each of your incredible work, each and every day, there is no company and there are no values. Everyone agreed, and I've made sure to ask new team members as they've joined us to DM me in the same way as our original team did last year. I recompile every time, but so far the top 5 core values, determination, passion, community, integrity, and curiosity, haven't changed. By the way, note, since I wrote this, I stopped doing this practice because it literally never changed. The culture became self-reinforcing from a values perspective as we sought to hire people with similar values. So there was just no need to continue with that practice, but it was fun while it lasted, and it was neat to reinforce the original values. Data.World is my 6th startup, and I do my best to constantly evolve, to do better as an entrepreneur and leader in each business. And this is my favorite method of coming up with core values so far. It is the most inclusive and most organically beautiful way that I've ever done it. I discuss that and much more on Kirk Dando's podcast, For You Leaders. Here's that episode, and I link to it here on Medium. And as a reminder, Kirk Dando is my longtime CEO coach, and this podcast he has, the For You Leaders podcast, is really exceptional. What is your method, and what is the best method you've ever seen? I would love to hear from you in the comments. Thanks again to Conscious Capitalism for inspiring me each year. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Note, this post was originally written on my blog at lucky7.io, where I've been writing primarily about entrepreneurship for 6 years.